Hello everyone, my name is Kishan Tayal and I am from the product marketing side of business here at VMware by Broadcom. In this video, we will see how we can add a registered product to usage meter. When I say registered, basically a licensed product to usage meter. For that, I will have to navigate and log into the usage meter appliance. And as you might have seen in the previous video, by default, the usage meter login account is usage meter. So let me log into that portal via this account. And once you have logged in, remember this is the same appliance which we have registered in our previous video. Once the appliance is registered, this is how the next phase of the product would look like. Basically, you would be able to see all of the products which you can register with usage meter. Please note that this is usage meter 4.8 and it does have a couple of UI features and options which may not be applicable in the new Broadcom Advantage Partner Program. For example, though it shows you can add Horizon Desktop as a service or Horizon, this is not applicable anymore. When the newer version of usage meter is released is when we would see a trimmed feature version based on the Broadcom Advantage Partner Program. So from the demonstration perspective, in this video, we will add a vCenter server to the usage meter. Likewise, as you see, we can add a Tanzu Kubernetes Grid cluster. We can add ARIA Suite, ARIA Operations, Automation, NSXBT, ARIA Operations for Network, Advanced Load Balancer, and Cloud Director Availability. So let's add the vCenter server to this usage meter appliance. So click add. So basically under product, by default, vCenter or Cloud Foundation option is selected. Click add. And the IP address of the appliance is of my vCenter server is 10.199.58.1. The password and then the username as well, username and password basically. If the vCenter server has an external PSC controller, then you may have to select this box and give the respective IP address of the PSC controller. In my case, the PSC is embedded within the primary appliance. Few things to observe here. VMware Cloud Foundation Edition, this is not applicable anymore, but since, like I mentioned, this is a 4.8 usage meter version and it still had those old VCPP options available. That's why you see these on the screen. So irrespective of whatever you select, it will be not applicable. If you have an SRM deployed on this vCenter server, you may check this box. And like I said, TKG editions are no more applicable, like basic, standard, and advanced. So irrespective of whatever you select, it is not applicable. Same goes with based on VRAM or CPU codes. Irrespective of whatever you select, it will be CPU codes by default. One other important thing to understand here is that the username you're using to add the vCenter server into the usage meter, make sure that the user has the following roles and permissions assigned at the vCenter server level. So if you look at this document, which is assigning permissions for vCenter server for metering with vCloud usage meter, and if you scroll to the bottom of the document, you have to make sure that if the vCenter server is version 8.x, then you need to have the VM storage policy roles and permission enabled. If the vCenter server is 7.x, then you need to have the profile driven storage view permission enabled. And to allow mapping and viewing license key, you need to have global licenses role enabled. And if the vCenter server instance has vSAN enabled, then you have to make sure that the CNS is searchable, the option or the permission is enabled on the user account, which is used to add the vCenter server into usage meter. Failing to have these permissions enabled before adding the vCenter server to usage meter, the usage meter will not be able to detect the licenses type on the vCenter server, and the metering may not happen properly or not be tagged properly to the right customer. So make sure that these permissions are enabled on the account used to add vCenter server into usage meter. All right. So once you have added the details of the vCenter server, click add. And if you look at the left hand side bottom, it says vCenter server has been added. Now the next step is to accept the certificates. So select the please accept certificate under status and then accept the certificates from this vCenter server. So after the certificate is accepted, if you see here under the status, it says credentials verified. Here on, this vCenter server will be metered by this usage meter appliance based on core CPUs. In the same way, you may add other products which are applicable under the new Broadcom Advantage Partner program. And after a couple of seconds, you will see that the status of the vCenter server we added is set to OK and is in green color, which means everything is good and we can start metering this particular vCenter server. So with this, we come to the end of this video. Thank you.